concept was to empower all citizens to find a way to contribute and to make sure that community involvement in Grand Rapids is a way of life within our schools. The educational opportunities need to be plentiful, we understand that, and we want to see to it that student academic achievement is world class. On the table over there, we have a lot of information about how you can get involved in different programs that support GRPS and ways that you can engage, and that's one of the key things that we want to continue going with this forum. Encouraging everybody that you know, that I know, and just all of us getting 10 people involved more actively, more consistently with Grand Rapids Public Schools. Of course, it's great to be at Martin Luther King again. I think we can all agree this is a wonderful facility. They have hosted this forum for us a second time, and this one was very short notice. I think Mr. Helmholtz applied a little pressure in that way. For this forum, we partnered with two parents from City High School. Mr. John Walk is here, who was the co-moderator, and Mr. Wayne Glatz, I don't see him, but he can put his hand in the air and let you know who he is. So those are our co-conspirators with this forum. And it's just an affirmation to see all of you guys here today and ready to help us embrace our destiny and make GRPS, the school system that we know it can be. I really want to say that in our minds, we're really trying to work to help metamorph our school system and transform the school system away from just being, the old notions that many people had about the schools. We know what the issues are. We know that we have high dropout rates. We know that we have not enough volunteers, not enough mentors, and even though we have a great deal of philanthropy, we need more. But we need to start putting aside some of our differences, some of our disagreements to get to the real work that needs to be done. The schools failing means that we as a community are failing our children. And it's not just an indictment on the Board of Education, it's not just an indictment on the superintendent or our wonderful teachers, or the teachers union for that matter, Mr. Elder. Just making sure you're paying attention.
I'm here, I'm writing notes right now.
The culpability, though, definitely lies with us, and so our whole movement within this is to make sure that, we're stepping up and getting everybody that we can involved in GRPS in a constructive manner. So that transition means that, as we become a big city with big dreams, our leadership has to have the vision, and the community has to have the integrity and the fortitude to ensure that our children are provided with an education that will prepare them for life in the 21st century. We have the power, ladies and gentlemen. We actually believe that despite all the adversity to make this thing happen. So today's discussion is about hitting the reset button. It's about all of us taking a deep breath. All right? And putting some of our politics aside as much as possible and trying to interpret this information that will be presented today as objectively as possible without negativity, and then coming together in the best way for this community and for the district. Today we assembled a great panel, and we expect courtesy and respect for everybody here, and I see a very respectful crowd out there, so I don't think we'll have any problems. A quick introduction to all of our participants here. We have the Honorable George Hartwell, the mayor of the city of Grand Rapids. We have Dr. Bernard Taylor Jr., the superintendent. Mr. Paul Helder, president of the Grand Rapids Education Association. He represents our teachers. Mr. Ron Gorman, principal of Creston High School. Mrs. Amanda Palmer, teacher at Burton Middle School. Mrs. Wanda Couch, parent/PTSA organizer at Ottawa Hills High School, my proud alma mater. Ms. Sunita Lanier, vice president of the Grand Rapids Board of Education. Mr. Craig Datema, CEO of Triangle Associates, Inc. Ms. Lynn Affendulis, Student Advancement Foundation. And Mrs. Diane McMillan, my former principal of Michigan Association for Secondary School Principals. You got all that right?
That's right.
All right. Well, I don't want to do too much talking here. We want to get right into the discussion. Mr. Walkus is going to walk us through some background information so you can understand some of the things that the district is facing, and then we'll get into the questions, and we really just want to open it up for the community and allow them to engage with our panel and discuss these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. This came about after some thought and just being involved with the schools this past spring and the discussions and the meetings that have been going on. On March 10th, we heard Dr. Taylor at the State of the Schools address share the need for GRPS to make educational changes within our district. Since that time, much of the discussion and the public attention has been focused around the implementation of blended instructional delivery model, the elective hub plan, and the budgetary challenges facing this district. While these issues have engaged the stakeholders of our schools, the largest challenge facing GRPS has been discussed with limited public response. Tonight, we would like to shift the focus of the dialogue to the academic performance of our schools. There are bright stars within the GRPS system and examples of extraordinary accomplishment by students defying the odds with their level of achievement. There are great examples of school turnarounds and improvements of adequate yearly progress. But in some of our schools, and especially at the secondary level, there remains what has been described as a pronounced and prolonged failure. This academic performance will come to the forefront in the coming days as the state of Michigan releases its list of the 5% lowest performing schools. It is expected that GRPS will have multiple schools on this list, including at least 2 and possibly all 4 of its comprehensive high schools, as well as multiple middle schools. It is our hope that as a community, we can address the challenges in front of us to ensure that all children of Grand Rapids have a high-quality education. This is a challenge that must be addressed by the community as a whole. That is why we have assembled this panel together tonight to help guide us through the need to dialogue on this issue. It is the intent of this forum to have an open and honest dialogue where we can gain better understanding of the issues, see others' perspectives on the issues, and all learn how we, together as a community, can help in creating a stronger educational community for our children. To provide a brief picture of the challenges before us, I'd like to highlight some of the previously published information that has been on the GRPS website, as well as was used at the May 18th community meetings. Currently, there are 4 comprehensive high schools, along with the 3 middle schools that are viewed as at risk of being included in the state's 5% lowest performing schools. I'm actually just lifting the PowerPoint right off, so I'm just jumping through some slides. With the state and federal programs tied to this list and other measures used by the state, GRPS is in a compliance mode for the operation of these schools and must engage in reform plans that meet the state's requirements for each of these schools. While the compliance mode may sound undesirable, the current path of failure within these schools is unacceptable, and we cannot continue with what we are doing. To meet the state requirements for reform, GRPS will need to present a comprehensive plan in the coming days for these schools that fits within the guidelines of the state and federal government. There are 4 prescribed reform models that the plan must fit within. Also of note is that based on the number of total schools on the list within one district, it is possible that no one model can be used for more than half of the schools on the list. Models include the turnaround model, replacing the principal, 50% of the school staff, new governance structure, and new and revised instructional programming. The restart model, close the school and reopen under the management of a charter school. School closure, close the school completely and enroll the students in other schools. And the transformational model, replacing the principal, implement instruction and reform change strategies, extended learning and teacher planning time, create community-oriented schools, and provide operative flexibility.